All right, let's talk about it. 24-hour films. How do you make one? Well, let's talk about some of the context around it first. The 24-hour challenge is a filmmaking competition where teams have to create the best short possible in, you guessed it, 24 hours. And this scales up. There's ones that are for 48 hours or whatever 3 days is. 24 hours, I think, is the most interesting to evaluate from. And a lot of this stuff applies to these other ones as well. Also, there's usually going to be some kind of extra rules about time limits, if there needs to be a certain genre, if you need to include a certain props or locations or thematic elements. But oftentimes these won't be that restrictive. These will give teams something to work off of so they're not just completely starting from scratch, but it also helps pull back on people who might try to use existing ideas or films they've already made. And that's pretty much it. Sometimes the host of the event will supply some kind of equipment in terms of cameras or maybe lights, but if nothing else, there's nothing wrong with just using your phone if it comes down to it. And the next question is, why would you do something like this? Well, it's a good question, but hopefully you and your team can see this for the challenge that it is. It's difficult, but it does push you to get creative and experiment. We can get more into this question at the very end, but right now let's just talk about how do you even do this? I think the main thing people struggle with is how do you fit that concept you have in your head into this short period of time. Often ones I participated in go to 5, maybe 10 minutes, but that is not a lot to work with when you're telling a story, right? Well, I think the most important thing to remember when it comes to that is you're not making a feature film told at 5 times speed. At least that shouldn't be your goal. Most people are more familiar with feature-length films and therefore try to adapt that onto this preset. Instead of making a film, think of it more as you're making a scene and just trying to tell a story within that scene or sequence. Think about some of your favorite parts from your favorite films. There are plenty of examples of short narratives with setups and payoffs in any feature that feed into this larger story, but standalone are still very compelling to watch. Maybe it's a strong fight scene, maybe it's a montage of someone improving at something, maybe it's a dream sequence. Examples like this are generally not longer than 5 minutes. They consist of a 3-act structure, and they'll kind of give you a taste of the greater project or genre. I think each one of these is very practical to do within the 24-hour time limit, but also depending on what you have available to you. You have a limited location, but something really impressive to showcase. Maybe it's a stunt, maybe it's a chase scene, maybe it's a monster. Then just focus on those big punchy moments, and that'll stick with people. Maybe you only got one actor. Then maybe focus on their change over time. It's satisfying and effective storytelling. The nature of the quick shots with several variations on them also allows you to save a lot of time with having these quick camera setups. Or do you want to focus purely on visuals and forego having any dialogue? This could save time on writing a script, dealing with audio. I do like that option. And I'm not saying you can make scenes to this level exactly. These ones took days and days and days of planning. But just look at the concepts of each one of these. Exciting action that gets cut short by something awkward. It's a little tense, a little comedic, but it's super engaging. There's something scary in the box. We only get quick glimpses of it. The way they talk about it makes us fear it. It really plays on your imagination, and that makes it even scarier. Very strange performances or very stylized visuals that force audiences to look deeper at what feelings or ideas you're trying to convey. All of these can be stripped from this grand production and still work in these small, low-budget scales. I hope that gives you some jumping off points when you're kind of coming up with your idea at first. Remember, scenes, not movies. Whenever it comes to creating something like this, you really want to set the scope early on. Otherwise, things can just balloon out of proportion. It's really hard when it comes to stuff like this to ever say no or don't or you can't make this work, but here's some things to avoid when you're taking on this challenge, or at least just be aware of. No history lessons, no lore dumps, no big explanations. There's no time for it. Keep the setup quick. If it's a family drama, if it's a sci-fi epic, whatever it is, show, don't tell. That's always important, but insanely important when you have this limited amount of time. And while we're talking about Star Wars, I should say that parodies are a really big part in these competitions. And I think the reason for that is they jump over a lot of problems with this format. The audience can pick up on your story and characters a lot quicker. They'll laugh at a lot of things they know, and since it's a comedy, A lot of the flaws of the low budget and short timeline will kind of feed into this aesthetic you're going for. And I'm not saying they're bad or don't do them. I've done them, my friends have done them. They can turn out really funny. It's just to be aware that a lot of people will go this route. Again, the style and idea are fine. I just feel like there's less variation in these, and it sidesteps some of the fun that the challenge itself imposes. Audio is super important, even in this format. People are a lot more willing to put up with something that looks shoddy than something that's hard to hear or hurts their ears. This is a lot more opinionated than the other ones are, but I still feel pretty strongly about it. Contrary to the advice I provided earlier about taking a favorite scene of yours from a film, the inspiration I wouldn't recommend is the big emotional speech or one-take monologue. These, in comparison to the other ones, are a lot harder to land by themselves because I think they rely a lot more on the build-up from the film around it to land with audiences. It's not impossible to do, but oftentimes people aren't going to be as wowed or invested in someone talking in this bite-sized format, even if it's a very strong performance. You'll need something else to help it stand out. The wow factor is huge. You need to find your wow factor. What helps you stand out? Part of getting creative with this is not just relying on the people in your room right then, wearing the clothes that they're wearing, talking about something in whatever room you're writing the script in. Often my team and I would go to a thrift store and pick out things from the electronics section, or maybe there's some interesting clothes for an outfit. Anything there could spark an idea. If nothing else, just ask yourself, ask your team, what do we have access to? Do you have a scary location? Do you have cool lights? Do you have a scary mask? Can someone do makeup or sing or a roundhouse kick? Anything. Whatever you have at your disposal, anything can be the basis for a story. And I guess that's what I really mean when it's important to be creative and experimental from something like this. You're really pushed with that time limit to make ends meet, make things happen, find something or anything out of nothing. Out of any creative exercise, I don't know what could be more valuable than that. Getting cameras in your hand, getting props made, shooting scenes, finding locations. It just kind of speed runs you through all these general things you'll have to encounter if you want to do this stuff for real. And it's a lot of fun. Even if it doesn't turn out, even if you make junk that you're embarrassed by, I've done it for sure. I still think it's helped me build on this skill set and do better next time and have ones that I am proud of that I can just say, I can't believe we did that in 24 hours. I've still got a lot of time left. What else? What else should I mention? I've just got a lot of time left. I'm stuck in here for 24 hours.
So you're not going to be home for dinner?